I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
2 Duluth landmarks are alight with the color teal for the fight against ovarian cancer. And we have a very special guest, the holder of the most U.S. Olympic gymnastic medals, here tonight to share her survival story.
An emergency quarantine is issued in our region to stop the spread of a bug that has killed countless trees across the country.
Plus, in business news tonight, developments on 2 fronts over non-ferrous mining.
That and more up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for being here. And Denny, as we watch for fall colors this week, a new color is emerging in the landscape this weekend.
It isn't only reds and yellows here in Duluth right now, it's the color teal. We're going to be talking about that a little bit.
All right, so take it away.
All right, thank you so very much. Well, this weekend, both Enger Tower and the aerial lift bridge here in Duluth are glowing in the color teal against the night sky. It's all part of efforts to stop ovarian cancer and help those who have been touched by it. The keynote speaker for the weekend event is cancer survivor and Olympic gymnast Shannon Miller. And also with us, the founder of an organization dedicated to ovarian cancer research, Kris Greer. I want to thank you both for being here tonight. Shannon, obviously as an Olympic athlete, you've been very fit, physically fit. All of a sudden you discovered you have ovarian cancer, or you had cancer. How did you feel health-wise? How was the diagnosis made?
You know, if you asked me at that time, I would have said I felt great. In fact, that's what I told my doctor when I went in for my regular appointment. But I had forgotten about the stomach aches and the sudden weight loss and the bloating and all those things that women kind of pass off as just regular parts of being a woman. And so it was a shock to me to kind of have this thing happen and me have no idea what was going on with my body.
Mm-hmm. Did your training as an athlete and kind of that mental toughness that you have to be an Olympian, did that help you at all as you were facing this battle?
It did tremendously. I think for me, that loss of control at first, I really felt like the victim, and I didn't want to feel that way. And after the surgery, after I knew, yes, it was cancer, and I knew what I was fighting, I kind of reverted back to that competitive mentality of setting goals and working with my team and trying to get through this.
Mm-hmm. And Kris, you also have experienced ovarian cancer.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your personal story.
I was diagnosed 15 years ago with stage 3 and given very poor odds. And I was, of course, very frightened at first. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to make it. I'm going to dig in my heels and I'm going to fight this. And I want to live. So, you know, it's a tough cancer. And I also realized, you know, there's no early detection test, which I didn't know at the time. And I thought, I have to do something about this. Women deserve better.
Can you give us an idea of what kind of symptoms a woman might feel if she has ovarian cancer?
Sure. They're very vague and they're often dismissed. You know, bloating, backache, frequent urination, fatigue, or in Shannon's case, a little bit of weight loss. And, you know, that's something women experience, you know, periodically. So none of those jump out and say, hey, there's a tumor here. And doctors also, you know, unfortunately miss it because it is so, it's just a vague symptom.
Mm-hmm. And both of you are very young women. Is it common to hit people at your age or at the age when you got it?
I think that's probably one of the things that surprised both of us and surprises many women is a lot of times this is thought of as an older person's disease and it's just not. It can strike, in fact in my case, my type of ovarian cancer strikes late teens and early 20s primarily.
Shannon, you're a 5-year survivor. How was your life impacted once you got the diagnosis?
I mean, I think your world changes, your vocabulary changes. Everything that you thought was so important, you realize that it's just not, and every day is so precious. And I think for me, the blessing in having this diagnosis is that I'm very passionate about helping others, but I also understand the importance in a new way that I never had really before of just living every day to the fullest.
So what's the treatment?
Well, it's different depending, I mean, everyone's journey is different. My treatment in particular, I had surgery to remove the tumor and then 9 weeks of a pretty aggressive chemotherapy called BEP. It's kind of the hit 'em hard, hit 'em fast approach, but I think you'll find every person's journey is a little bit different.
Now, we talked about in the open the fact that the bridge is going to be teal, Anger Tower is going to be teal. How did you select teal? And what does that lighting up of these landmarks really symbolize to you?
Well, first of all, teal was the ovarian cancer awareness color. I would love to take credit, but I can't. And what does it symbolize? Well, I grew up in Duluth and always loved the lake and these beautiful iconic landmarks up here. I can't even put it into words. It means so much to me. I feel like we're taking ovarian cancer out of the darkness and bringing it into the light and saying, you know, women, pay attention to your bodies. Learn about the symptoms. Let's save some lives.
Which brings the question, Kris, does ovarian cancer run in families?
It can. I had the BRCA1 and 2 test done because nobody in my family had it, and I was negative. Sometimes a woman will be positive and then she needs to make some decisions. So I did do the genetic testing, but you know, we aren't there yet. We can't test for every gene. So yeah, it's very mysterious.
There was quite a bit of attention maybe a couple of years ago now when Angelina Jolie took the step to have her ovaries and fallopian tubes removed because she thought that she was at a high risk for that. Is that something that is recommended, or is that a real extreme way to view it if you fall into one of the high risk categories?
Well, in my opinion, you know, she had a 50% chance of developing ovarian cancer. Her mother died. I believe she had an aunt and maybe a grandmother. So maybe she felt like I had my family and I have a 50%, that's pretty high. So it's a very personal decision, and you know, I think she made the best decision for herself.
Are there other things that people can do to maybe reduce their risk?
I think primarily it's listening to your body. It's because there is no screening test available for ovarian cancer, which we want desperately to change that. But it's listening to those symptoms when a woman has these stomach aches or some of these symptoms we've talked about, and if they last more than 2 weeks, go in and see your doctor and be adamant. If they continue to persist after certain tests, then make sure that you go back and really talk through the possibility of what this might be.
Shannon, there could be some viewers tonight who have just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. What hope can you give them?
You know, I think we are hope sitting here, and I know for me, being able to talk with other women or hear other women's stories of surviving really helped me. In fact, I had a woman early on in my treatment who reached out to me at an event, and she took my hand and she said, I had this same tumor that you had, and it was 10 years ago. I now have 2 beautiful children, and you're going to make it. And I just needed to hear that. Of course, I was crying, but I think women need to hear that there are success stories, but also women need to hear what the signs and symptoms are so that they can combat this and catch it at the earliest possible moment.
And Charlene's Light is having some fundraising activities this weekend. Talk about those.
It's a 4-day event. We started last night. Tonight is the bridge lighting, and one of the restaurants has gotten involved, Buffalo Wild Wings, and they donate a percentage of their sales tonight. So we'll have a little ceremony at the bridge tonight as it's really glowing teal. Tomorrow night is our dinner gala, and Shannon is our keynote speaker, and everyone is very excited to hear her story. And we'll fill them all with hope. And then on Sunday, it's the Elizabeth Bushy Memorial Golf Tournament. That's in memory of the 19-year-old Duluthian who passed away a few years ago of ovarian cancer. And it's just a very wonderful event. So I'm hoping that, you know, throughout these 4 days, we really raise awareness. This cancer is very under-recognized and underfunded.
Shannon, it's not very often that we have an Olympian here with us. This summer, of course, all eyes were focused on the U.S. women's gymnastics team. What was it like for you to be watching that and maybe thinking back to your own career? I mean, you hold the most medals in the Olympics for women's gymnastics right now.
I do. I think that's going to be blown out of the water here at the next game. But it was tremendous. I have the wonderful opportunity to stay involved with the Olympic Games and gymnastics, and to see these young athletes that I've watched grow up through the sport and see them compete so well and just be so astonishing. It was a lot of fun. I was hoarse. I was screaming so much, but it was great.
Any emotions as you think of the potential of maybe having your record blown out of the water?
You know, I think records are made to be broken, and I would hate to think that any of the folks that went before me were concerned about that. I think it's great because I think it shows the strength of the U.S. team, and they are just getting better and better. So I'm excited about it.
Is it just as hard to sit on the sidelines as it is to compete?
It is. You know, for 2004, 2008 was kind of hard to sit on the sidelines. Now I'm kind of like the soft chair and eating some popcorn while I'm watching.
Yeah.
So you're the keynote speaker. What's your main message to the people who participate?
You know, I think it is a story of hope, but I also think it's important for women to recognize the signs and symptoms and really just focus on their health. Make their health a priority. And I think for all of the men in the audience, I mean, you guys are such an essential part of helping us take care of ourselves. You all have people in your lives, mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, who, you know, sometimes we don't recognize the signs, but maybe we have others in our lives that can recognize them.
Shannon, Kris, thank you so very much for being with us tonight. All the best this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
If Northwest Airlines disappeared, Minnesota could lose 41,000 jobs and more than $1.5 billion in economic activity each year. That's a worst-case scenario, and experts in the airline industry told a legislative subcommittee today that there's no sign Northwest is about to go bankrupt or be bought out. But the experts say it's not surprising Northwest is looking for money anywhere it can, including the taxpayers, to help make up for the loans the new owners took out.
One of the weaknesses that Northwest clearly has is on the financial side. It's a very highly leveraged company, and it is very difficult to compete with competitors that have a much stronger balance sheet.
Among airlines, the big keep getting bigger. The analysts say Northwest is in a race to buy up planes and routes.
And I would have to say Northwest is losing that race. They know they're losing it, and they're frantic about it.
An insect known as the emerald ash borer is making its way across the country and destroying tens of millions of ash trees. It's been located in St. Louis County, prompting an emergency quarantine this week. What exactly does that mean for property owners and residents? Well, here to tell us more is certified arborist Louise Levy and St. Louis County Forester Beth Peterson. And welcome. Thanks for being here. Now, Louise, I understand you are the one who made the discovery here in town of the borer?
Yes.
And talk about that and how that came about, what you saw and how you recognized it.
This was an ash tree that I had been hired by the client to trim dead wood and a branch that was in the way of a power line or an electrical line. And so I said that I would do that work, and then as I was coming down out of the tree, I would also examine the tree for any signs of emerald ash borer. She had already decided that she wanted to have the tree injected, so that was either going to happen this summer or next spring.
Is there any indication how long the emerald ash borer has actually been here?
In that particular tree?
Well, in the city itself.
Yes, well, the infestation that was found on Park Point, the Minnesota Department of Ag estimated that they found it within a year of infestation, and that infestation they suspect came from flight, not from firewood transport. The reason for that being that it's adjacent to the location in Superior that was the epicenter of the EAB population.
Beth, why is the emerald ash borer such a threat? Why should people be concerned about it?
Well, after we lost a lot of our elm trees to Dutch elm disease,
Sure.
we ended up replanting with a lot of ash trees in our boulevards. And so a lot of our boulevards are exclusively ash trees. Also in this part of Minnesota, we have a lot of, in our greater forests, we have a lot of bogs that are almost exclusively black ash. So it's really important to start getting more diversity both into our urban communities and to our larger forests. Since this insect has the potential to take out so many trees.
Right.
How do they go about killing the trees? Is it something that where they attack weak trees? Do they attack healthy trees? What's the process? I don't know if we can see it.
They lay their eggs underneath the bark and they will girdle the tree. They eat the phloem tissue, the living tissue that's just underneath the bark that transports all the water and nutrients to the leaves of the tree and essentially cuts off the roots from the leaves.
So Beth, how are emerald ash borers destroyed?
Well, there's a couple options. Louise does some injections, which doesn't destroy them, but it does protect the trees.
The most effective way to kill the emerald ash borer is to kill it in its larval stage, and it's the larval stage, as Beth described, that does the damage. So the adult insect does feed on the leaves, but that's a minor problem for the tree. It's the larva that destroys the cambium tissue in these tight little S-shaped galleries, and as that gets eaten away and dies and the bark sloughs off, the more insects that are in there and the more larvae that are in there, the more of the cambium dies and eventually the whole tree dies.
So you inject the trees?
Correct, yep.
So if you find a tree that is infested, is there a great possibility other trees near it could be, and do you inject them as well?
You can inject one tree and protect that tree, and you don't need to treat other trees around it.
Now it's called the emerald ash borer. Is it an insect that exclusively targets ash trees, or are there other trees that could potentially be in trouble as well?
In Minnesota, it only targets ash trees and for most of the United States. And we brought some samples along as well. This is a sample from a green ash, which is what they typically feed on, but we also have a mountain ash, which is actually a different genus. So it's not related to other ashes, and so it is immune to emerald ash borer.
Oh, that's good to
So
know.
if you have these sort of trees in your yard, don't need to be worried.
Yeah. Is there a large population of ash trees here?
There is a pretty significant amount of ash trees in Duluth. Like I said, after we lost our elms, they were a very popular replacement. And not just Duluth, but a lot of greater St. Louis County communities. I was just up in Ely today, and as well as Virginia. And those smaller communities also have a lot of ash
Really?
trees.
No, the emerald ash borer isn't very big. It's what, about an inch long only?
Very, very small.
I think we have a picture of it.
Yeah, you very rarely see the actual insects.
Really?
Usually you see it, there's a picture up there right now, but usually you're not going to see the insects. The main thing as a citizen that you should be looking for is extensive woodpecker damage on your trees. The woodpeckers are much better than we are at finding the insects. We haven't figured it out yet, but they have, and so they go after those trees, and if you see a lot of woodpecker damage, that means that there's something there that they're snacking on.
Could a woodpecker or would a woodpecker transfer one of those emerald ash borers to another tree or no?
No, they wouldn't do that. And they also, there's no danger of the insecticide to either birds or insects besides the emerald ash borer, because woodpeckers don't feed on dead larvae, so they would only eat live larvae. And also ash trees are wind pollinated, not insect pollinated. And the insecticide that is most effective is not a neonicotinoid. So we don't need to be worried about
Talk to us a little bit about not moving firewood from maybe an area where it's collected to another area.
Sure. Yep. So when the emerald ash borer was first discovered in Detroit in 2002, it had already been in the area for quite a long time, 10 to 15 years or more. And then when scientists started looking, scientists and practitioners, urban foresters, were looking at finding infestations, they were much further away than the insect can move in a year, so it flies about a mile or two a year. And so we realized that people are frugal and clever, and they take dead ash and they want to move it to their cabin or another place, or sell it to other folks. And so that's how the larvae that are still alive can make it in a cut log to another place and jump large geographic distances.
And right now there's a quarantine area around Duluth, correct? As far as transporting any cut
the
firewood?
quarantine goes up to highway. We got a map right there.
There you go.
But beyond that, there are numerous other insects and plant diseases. So even if you forget where the quarantine lines are, it's just generally a good idea not to move firewood of any type in any direction.
Yeah. Beth, there are areas in other parts of Minnesota that are also under quarantine?
A good deal of the Twin Cities and some communities in southern Minnesota are quarantined.
And how successful have other communities been in trying to quarantine the spread? Is it an effective approach?
The quarantine is helpful because it lets everybody know that EAB has been found, but it still jumps. So it's really a matter of us paying attention to the fact that this insect is incredibly destructive, and it's even more destructive for St. Louis County, northern Minnesota, because we have the highest population of natural forest ash, as well as huge populations on our streets, because it's the ash tree does really well in our cold climate, and it does really well in urban settings where the conditions are challenging for trees anyway. So that's why we have so many ash on our streets.
So the larvae would survive the winter?
Yes, they do.
Any special concerns in the Duluth area because of the big windstorm that we had and all of the trees that were downed and have been cut up over the last month?
Well, in hindsight, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to this client's tree in early July or even mid-July, because then the quarantine would have gone into effect, well, at least before the July 21st storm. And if I'd done the work in June, then we probably would have had that quarantine in effect for the July 5th storm. Hindsight's 2020. We have the quarantine now.
But some of that wood could be transported well beyond the area now with trees that have been downed.
So how can the public be more aware of this? What can they look for in their trees, and all of a sudden they discover, hey, something's not right here?
Well, Beth pointed out woodpeckers. That's a really good signal. The puffing bark or blistering bark, that's the sign that I saw in my client's tree. Top dieback. So if you have dead branches underneath in an ash tree, that's very common in very healthy ash trees. But it's dying from the top down that's indicative of emerald ash borer. And sprouting, they're called epicormic sprouts, but lots of profuse sprouting at the base of the ash tree. It's the tree trying to create more leaves so that it can photosynthesize more and create more food for itself, because it's losing that ability at the top.
So if you have ash trees in your yard, on your land, be aware. Check them from time to time.
Correct.
Who's going to be enforcing the quarantine, or how does that work? Is it something that is really enforceable, or is it more of a public information sort of an approach?
Unfortunately, it's very hard to enforce. They're not going to stop everybody and check everyone's truck that's coming out of Duluth. It is the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is the lead on this. If you are heading into a state park, though, that's where you're most likely to get checked.
Where did these come from in the first place? Any idea where they
emerald
originated?
ash borer?
Yeah,
that they came in on wooden pallets and shipping.
From overseas?
Yes, from China. It's native to China. And what's really interesting for us as managers and practitioners is that very little was known about this insect before it was discovered in Detroit in 2002, because it was sort of it was not well researched in its home country, its home area. So all of the information that we know, most of the information we know about its life cycle, how to kill it, and how it behaves, we've learned since 2002,
Now,
since 2002.
And now that this quarantine is in place, is it indefinite, or do you imagine that at some point it's going to be taken off?
No, I imagine it's going to be indefinite. With terrestrial invasives and insects, we're not going to ultimately stop them or move them back, but the important part is giving us time to diversify our forests and plant new trees so that we're prepared when we do eventually lose these trees.
All right.
And something that Beth and I think a lot about too is not only the loss of tree cover, but how it affects our hydrology and our water quality. So black ash and green ash are native to and do really well in wet areas. As the ash die and the water table rises, if trees aren't established underneath to tolerate that rise in water table, then we'll have a change where we won't have treed wet areas, treed wetlands, and that'll change how water flows, and it will change water quality, and probably for the worse, not the better.
All right.
So it's much more than just losing tree cover.
All right, Louise, Beth, thank you so much for coming in and sharing information, and people be on the lookout. Be careful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, it's time now for the week's economic news from the folks at Business North. The Duluth City Council defeated a resolution Monday that would have recommended the state conduct an evidentiary hearing before deciding whether to allow Polymet to mine for copper, nickel, and precious metals near Hoyt Lakes. 3 city councilors sought the hearing, even though it is not required by existing law. In a second quarter report released Thursday, Polymet said it has already spent $111 million on environmental review. Since July, the mining company has applied for air and water quality permits as its latest step toward launching a non-ferrous mine and processing plant.
Another company that hopes to mine non-ferrous minerals on the Iron Range, Twin Metals Minnesota, filed a lawsuit Monday in U.S. District Court seeking to protect its federal mineral rights. That matter currently is under review by the Federal Bureau of Land Management because of the close proximity to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. The lawsuit seeks to invalidate that review. The lawsuit contends the process is inconsistent with federal law, the terms of Twin Metals leases, and the federal government's policy of supporting and renewing leases for the last 50 years.
Ground has been broken for the new St. Croix Express Casino Complex 12 miles west of Spooner. The development by the St. Croix Chippewa Indians of Wisconsin will include a casino featuring 250 slot machines, a restaurant, a 16-stall recreational vehicle park, and an 850-seat outdoor amphitheater for special events and entertainment. The tribe also has casinos in Danbury and Turtle Lake with more than 2,000 persons on staff. This is the largest employer in Burnett County. The development will open in approximately 1 year. Now, for more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment about tonight's show, give us a call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And please visit the WDSE website for program information. And if you'd like, you can watch archived video of your favorite public television programming. And Denny, I think it would be a nice night to go for a drive and take a look at the beautiful landmarks bathed in teal.
Absolutely. The aerial lift bridge tonight, and of course,
Enger Tower.
we have Enger Tower that's also bathed in the color teal.
Yeah.
So a reminder to fight ovarian cancer. Be aware of it.
All right. For Dennis and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. Thanks for watching. Good night.